On July 8th, 2011, 21 Pilots released their technical second studio album, Regional at Best. This album has been put on a pedestal by The Click because it is the album that has been lost to history. Because when 21 Pilots signed to Fueled by Ramen, they made a deal where they could keep up self-titled, but discontinued the release of Regional at Best. And you can see these go often on sale for ridiculous amounts of prices. And we just celebrated the 10th anniversary of Regional at Best just last month. And how did 21 Pilots celebrate? We got a new music video for Saturday. There was no mention of Regional at Best whatsoever, and part of me thinks there will never be any mention of Regional at Best again. And with that, it's also kind of very diverse. There's a lot of people who like Regional at Best, but there's a sector of people that don't like Regional at Best. And let's talk about why people like and dislike Regional at Best. Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, depending on when you're watching this. How's it going, guys? First off, I hope you're having a good day today. Hope your day is going well, and I hope it continues to go well. Let's get right into the video. Here is, as I mentioned before, why people like and dislike Regional at Best. Let's start with the reason why a lot of people like Regional at Best, and as we said earlier, it's like the lost 21 Pilots album. It is a very mythical thing. If you're a new 21 Pilots listener and you hear a lot of people talk about Regional at Best, you go look on your favorite streaming service and it's not there at all. So you wonder what exactly people are talking about. So you go on this journey, and the journey leads to this album you never knew existed, and it's this fresh experience to listening to new music. That is, of course, unless Deezer is your streaming service of choice, to where that is the only place you can listen to Regional at Best in its entirety. But then again, who uses Deezer at all? But just that hunt of finding where to get Regional at Best, talking to various people, hey, do you have the link to Regional at Best? Occasionally finding on Spotify in the podcast section only for it to be removed days later. That trip, that experience, that mythical sense is what gives Regional at Best a certain charm, and why a lot of people, including myself, like it. I remember the first time hearing a song off of Regional at Best and getting sent the link to it. I'm just like, this is amazing. And a lot of people, I think, share that same experience. The main reason why people don't like Regional at Best comes down in terms of the music production itself. I see a lot of people will throw around the term that it is basement production, to which, fair enough, it is not the best produced 21 Pilots album, mainly because it was just Tyler and Josh all by themselves. They didn't have a big fancy studio, much like in Vessel, Scale Nicey, Trench, and Blurry Face. It was just those two guys in a basement producing this album. And like, I even complain about the production things sometimes. Like, my favorite song off of there, Anathema, that ending where it is just a cut off, and like definitely worth a little bit complaining about. And then the drum production, the drum sound on Regional at Best, I'll admit, it is not the greatest whatsoever, and the list can continue on and on. That there is a lot of people that don't like the production of this album. And honestly, fair enough, I kind of relate to them in the sense of my feelings of Hometown is a completely production thing, not a music thing. But it's definitely something that drives a lot of people away. They just can't stand that production stuff and how less of a quality production it is compared to a fancy studio album. And reason number two why people do like Regional at Best comes in the terms of production. So there are certain people that love the charm of this basement produced album, to which I am personally one of those people. There's something charming about just the album, how the production on it isn't the best, and it kind of gives a small music maker like me hope that eventually one day it can become this nice, well-produced machine, much like we got in the future. But then again, of course, remember, fancy studios and stuff. But the idea of it being a lost album, or demo tapes as a lot of people will call them, you're not going to expect this amazing thing, and it just gives it a certain charm. Like, as much as I complain about the ending of Anathema, the rest of it I find very, very beautiful, even if some parts kind of hurt my ears. The whole album, that production, it's weirdly beautiful, even though it isn't the best. Reason number two why people don't like it is down to Tyler's vocals. I've seen a lot of people throw around that Tyler's vocals on this album weren't exactly that great, especially compared to the previous album, self-titled, which I can fully actually agree on that one, especially if we compare the regional at best version of songs compared to the Vessel version of songs. Miles improvement, especially if you take a look at House of Gold, especially if we take a look at, which of course House of Gold wasn't on regional at best, it's from the same era, it got released in a newsletter EP sort of thing, but it's still from the era, so we're gonna just whop it in here anyway. But if we take a look at House of Gold, a Car Radio, and even Trees specifically, and even Lovely at that, and we take a look at the Vessel era version of the songs, yes, there is a Vessel version of Lovely, and it's not released in the US, it's released in other countries, and it makes me super upset about it. There's also a version of Forest, there's also a version of Kitchen Sink, and also Glowing Eyes, that's not released in the US. I am very upset about that. But if we take a look at all of those versions of songs compared to what is on Vessel, Miles improvement, and I don't like, it's definitely not a studio thing, because it's just a vocal singing wise. Like Tyler gotten so much better within that little span of regional best in Vessel. It's absolutely mind blowing. And also if we compare like songs on Slow Town, just like all the songs with autotune, especially Trees. Oh, Trees, the robot microwave Trees, my gosh. And Tyler didn't need autotune as we hear off a Vessel, which I know the autotune thing does drive some people a little bit away from it, like especially on Trees, because like the regional best Trees is just all autotune. It's a trip to listen to, and reason 3 why people like it comes down to the lyrics. The lyrical content off Original at Best is absolutely beautiful. Like I said, Anathema, one of my favorite songs on the album. I certainly connect with it a lot. Slow Town is such an amazing song. It is the proto version of Stressed Out, because they were basically talking about the same thing. There's a lot of people who love Lovely and the lyrics in Lovely. There are people who like Clear. And also, this is the first album with Car Radio, Holding On To You, Ode to Sleep, as well as Guns for Hands. So we like the lyrics on the album definitely fit, especially with those 4 big ones that made their way on the Vessel. Like the lyrical content is absolutely fantastic, and Tyler Joseph really impresses me, especially when he's writing this stuff when he was younger, especially when No Fun Intended was right there, and like all these songs were amazing. I think he wrote that when he was 18, but Tyler Joseph has always wrote amazing lyrics, and Regional at Best is just to show how good he was lyrics and how much he got better with later albums. It is an amazing time capsule. Reason 3 why people don't like Regional at Best is that the clique has overhyped it, to which absolutely fair enough. I believe I started this at the very beginning of the video, but Regional at Best has been put on this pedestal, and like we talked about with the journey about finding Regional at Best, with any form of treasure, people are going to like it, they're going to love it, and or they're going to be disappointed and expecting more out of there. And there's certainly people who were expecting more of Regional at Best, because like I said, we put on this pedestal, it's the lost album. Maybe people were going to think that it is some high quality production thing and it was going to sound really good. Then they listen to it and it's like, okay, this isn't the production I was expecting. They hear Josh's drums, they listen to Regional at Best Trees, which as we discussed before, but maybe they were expecting a little bit more and it was overhyped. And as Tyler has taught us, we don't believe the hype, and there are some people who definitely don't like Regional at Best. So you know what, it's completely fair enough, because since we do treat Regional at Best as this national treasure, so I can definitely see how it's been overhyped, but not as overhyped as... These are just a couple of observations I found when asking the community out there. A few weeks ago on YouTube community section, as well as on my Discord, link to that down in the description box below to join, I asked, hey, could you guys let me know why you like and or why you dislike Regional at Best? I got a lot of comments, read every single one of them, and I'm going to read a couple of them in this video. So here's what the community says about Regional at Best. It just has a certain vibe that really appeals to me. I love all the songs that didn't make it on the Vessel so much. To me, Regional at Best is a very hopeful album. When I'm at some of my lowest points, it helps me remind me I'm not alone. I also love the whole aesthetic of it. The fact that they were able to pull off such a powerful album with not the best quality is very impressive. In my opinion, though, the quality adds in a way. To see where the band came from is really cool to me. To see the original songs that were later used on other albums, the first album with Josh, putting how much this album means to me in words is very hard. Plus, it all sounds cheesy. This is all at the top of my head. I really like Regional at Best for a few reasons. First, I think it shows the transition from self-titled to Vessel. While it's not really a huge jump between the two, Regional at Best really just shows how we got from one to another. Second, Forest is one of my favorite 21 Pilots songs, and it was one of the first songs I learned how to play on ukulele. And third, it really is cool to hear the other versions of songs that were on the Vessel. It's really cool to see the changes and think about why decisions were made. I guess I like Regional at Best because I've listened to every other album so many times that it just feels fresh. And also, Anathema, Kitchen Sink, Forest, Clear, the OG Ode to Sleep, Slow Down, Glowing Eyes, etc. It probably also inspires new 21 Pilots music, especially the Shy Away livestream version. Oh, and it's freaking Regional at Best, so why not? Well, here's the reasons why I love it. It feels real instead of trying to write something that is fake, trying to get to appeal to more people, if that makes any sense. It's music for those who can understand it and relate to it. It feels oddly nostalgic. I thought the first time I listened to it that you can tell it's very focused on Tyler and his past, the good and the bad. There are beats in there that feel so different from newer albums like Trench, Blurry Face, and Sigh, and it sets a slightly different tone and that's unique in its own special way. Also, Ruby and Glowing Eyes are emoji. Why I dislike it? Tyler seems to sing way worse here in Regional at Best, so sometimes his voice cracks during the song and really isn't edited out, so it can be annoying at times. Some of the songs feel like Tyler just gave up halfway through and like he builds up to the middle, then just completely changes the song in the latter half. Not enough drums from Josh. The screaming is something to get used to. I like it because it feels very genuine. Some of the tracks are pretty dated, but Regional Best has some bangers. You can understand Tyler a lot in many of these tracks like Clear and Kitchen Sink. Despite a few songs I really enjoy, I'm not a fan of Regional at Best. The basement style production has some charm the first couple listens, but in my opinion it starts to get graded. I also absolutely love Ode to Sleep, Guns for Hands, and Car Radio, but the Regional at Best versions is so watered down in comparison into what I got on Vessel. Despite finding some nostalgia from first discovering TOP, it's their album that I'm least likely to come back to. Lovely bops though. I love how they use different sounds, but I really don't like some of the vocals. I really enjoyed some production things along with the encouraging lyrics. It was all made on a computer, quite similar to what I do as far as producing. The lyrics talk heavy on mental health, very relatable to those who need it. I also enjoy a variety of keys the songs are in, B major, D sharp major, G major, etc. For musical aspects, 8.5 out of 10. Lyrics, 9 out of 10. I like it because of how pure and raw the songs are, as how the messages are quite direct in how we get to see into Tyler's younger self. But I'll also say I dislike some of it because 1, the production, and 2, objectively worse originals that are already made later, like Ode to Sleep. Plus, I love Slow Town. I personally think that the album is just alright and the fandom overrates it. There are 3 big issues with it for me. Tyler's vocals aren't good for a large portion of it, like worse than they were on self-titled. The production is trash. Half the times he has good ideas, but then they are absolutely ruined by his execution. Anathema and Clear. Some of the songs aren't great. Forest in particular stands out to me in this regard. There's Stomach in My Brain, also I Scream, You Scream, We All Scream like we're in 3rd grade. I don't think the album is terrible though. There's some hidden gems on it like Glowing Eyes, Kitchen Sink, and Slow Town, but there is an equally amount of trash for every gem in my point. Pros, it has Force. It might have kickstarted the Dima storyline. Josh, nostalgia. Cons, it's a bit long, finding Ruby annoying, kind of poorly produced, scratchy vocals. Musically, it isn't the strongest, I think we all can agree. However, the lyrics are easily interpretable, much like the rest of Tyler's lyrics, so I think it connects to a lot of people. There's something about how the album is produced that gives a comforting vibe, similar to the homemade feeling that Trench inspires, yet it seems unintentional. To me, Regional Best feels like something of my past really represents and highlights change, so I feel emotionally connected to it. It reminds me of when I was figuring out who I am and who I was going to be. Revisiting that reminds me that that it will never go away, and I shouldn't think negatively of my interpretations and experiences, even though they aren't what I want them to be. I don't know if anyone else relates to this, but that's just my opinion. Sorry if this was a little bit of a ramble. I think part of the reason I love it is because I'm a sucker for demos and lost songs. Also, every song is put together nicely and a lot of love was put into it. The main reason people don't like the album is produced quality, and I get that. Honestly, I can see how the album, it sounds unprofessional, but since it's stuff I like, I love this. And there are many more comments that were left in the community section on YouTube. I'll leave a link to that in the description box below so that way you can go check it out. But in the comments of this video, let me know why you like and/or why you dislike Regional at Best. Do you agree with whatever opinion? And how bad do you want Regional at Best to return to streaming services? I would like to. I mean, the whole thing's available on Deezer. Some of the songs are available on Pandora. However, I am a Spotify person, so I don't think I'm going to get the streaming services anytime soon. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. I'm gonna go ahead this video. We are approaching 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm a very tired boy, so I will go ahead and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye, and good night, but more importantly, have a good day. I'll see you later.